106.2 FM.
Good afternoon and welcome to Keep Women Talking, a show from Peterborough Women's Aid. Sue is back.
I am.
So not last week, but the week before, we had the hashtag Where is Sue? And Sue has returned.
I was enjoying myself up in the beautiful Lake District.
Oh, we had people saying maybe she's in Jamaica, maybe she's
That would have been
climbing
nice.
Everest. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm delighted that Sue is back. So last time I was presenting the show on my own, and we had a special guest called Linda Huskerson who came and talked about her experience as a survivor of domestic abuse and how now she runs her own charity supporting victims of domestic abuse. And I just want to say, even though we're not blowing our own trumpet, that show was the most watched show on YouTube on Solar Radio 2 weeks ago. Over 1,900 people watched that show on YouTube, which is absolutely amazing because that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about experiences of domestic abuse. We're here to support any victim of domestic abuse, and we're here to empower women and keep women talking.
Yeah. It's amazing because it means that so many more people are having those conversations, listening to the information that we can share and reach out for the help if they need it.
Yeah, so we're super pleased. We're going to go for over 2,000 views on YouTube today. So it is hot outside, and I think it's
very
hot
in the studio as well.
It's very hot in the studio. So today, our question of the week is, because it is so gorgeous out there, where would you recommend to go in Peterborough or Cambridgeshire? So maybe on like a trip out for the day, enjoy the sunshine. Where would be your go-to place?
See, I love Ferry Meadows, is his local name, or Neem Park, as some people call it. Because I just think it's one of those places that you can go to. Doesn't cost a great deal. Take a picnic, have a wander. It's just one of those lovely places. And normally it's got a really nice atmosphere. There's great play areas for your children. And a couple of cafes if you want to drop into them. It's just a really nice space.
I love Ferry Meadows. Me, my sister and my mum used to take our kids there loads. Really nice place. On the little choo-choo train thing.
Yeah.
Is that there now, the train?
Yeah, it's still there.
Is it still there?
Yeah, like I say, take a football, some tennis rackets.
Yeah.
You keep yourself entertained there for hours.
Yeah. Love Ferry Meadows. So that's what we're asking you today. If you could recommend somewhere to go for a day out in Peterborough or in Cambridgeshire, please get in touch. So you can call us on 01733 602 133. You can text in the show on 074 119 1062, or you can comment on our Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. So where would you go in Peterborough on a lovely day like today?
Is there anywhere else you would recommend, Brenda?
Oh, where would I recommend? I mean, I do like a swim.
A wild swim?
Not a wild swim, no, but is the Lido open yet in Peterborough?
No, I don't think it's quite open. It opens this month, I think.
Does it?
Possibly in time for half term.
Yeah, that's always enjoyable, I find. It's cold. It's very cold.
But when it's warm, it's a lovely day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like swimming. So maybe the Lido. Same with Jesus Green in Cambridge. That's an outdoor pool. Again, I spent my youth in Jesus Green. Again, freezing. But, yeah. Yeah, good fun. So that's what we want to know. Where would you recommend that people go in this lovely weather? Day out with your partner, day out with the kids, whatever. So,
fill us in on what's been going on, Mandy. I feel as though I haven't been in the studio for months. I feel a bit lost.
I know.
To be
well,
fair.
We had a break because we've had a great studio revamp, haven't we?
Yeah.
I can actually do the weather now.
Can you?
Yeah, I can see the weather. So
sunny, I think the weather is.
The weather is sunny. And tonight there's going to be a low of 6 degrees.
Is there?
Maybe this is my new career. I could be Carol on BBC Breakfast Weather. I love Carol.
To be a new weather person.
Yeah. So what's been going on at Peterborough Women's Aid? So we're still doing our twice weekly groups. Tuesdays and Fridays at Anne's house, which is on Cromwell Road. That's 10:30 till 12.
So that's Women Warriors, isn't it?
Yep.
That happens on a Tuesday and Friday.
Yep, and literally any woman can go there. And I've noticed I don't know if you're a member of it, Sue, there's a Facebook group called Peterborough's Women's Network.
Right.
And there's loads of members. There's about 9,000 members. And there's been a few women recently saying, I'm new to the area. I just want to make friends with people. I've got young kids. And a few people have commented about coming to Women Warriors.
Brilliant.
So
yeah, it's open to anyone. It's not necessarily, you don't have to have been a victim of domestic abuse. Any woman, it's just a friendly space for women to meet, make new friends.
So
do some nice activities.
Yeah, so thank you for those people that recommended us. But yeah, please do come Tuesdays and Fridays, Women Warriors.
So Friday's got a slight twist, hasn't it? So that's more arts and crafts based on a Friday.
Yeah. What else have we been up to? So we have, I was on Greatest Hits Radio talking about, this ongoing issue that we've been talking about for ages, but I think has really come into people's thinking since the show Adolescence was on Netflix. Did you watch that, Sue?
Yes, I did.
So that was basically talking about the role of social media and outside influences on our children and young people, and how they might lead them to do things in terms of abuse and misogyny and stuff like that. So I did an interview with Greatest Hits about that, and is there a need out there to get classes, to get I always get this wrong, PHSE classes, to have a spin, or not have a spin, but have information about misogyny, about the influences of social media. Do our children need educating on these things? Is it dangerous? That kind of stuff. So I did that interview, and we, as we've talked about before, we go into schools and we are doing this kind of work. We're going into Hinchinbrook this week.
And it's just so important as well, the number of young people that we've spoken to and are just almost living in this blinkered world. And the likes of Andrew Tate, who we've spoken about before, all they see is this amazing lifestyle that they lead, but don't really think about what they're actually saying and the words and what they actually mean.
Yeah, and we've been doing this work for nearly a year. Over a year? Yeah, it is over a year, isn't it? We started in April 2024, so we've been doing this work over a year. We think by the end of our project we will have hit about 3,000 secondary school and sixth form students, which is amazing. And we went into Arthur Mellows last week, didn't we?
We did.
And we talked about sexual health.
Yeah, that was a bit slightly different topic in terms of sexual health and consent.
Yeah.
And that, which again is just vitally important. And that because again they have very mixed messages about sexual health and what causes it and the symptoms of various different illnesses and that. So again, getting those facts out there are really, really important.
It's really important, isn't it? And we did, our colleagues did a quiz for the young people, didn't they, about sexual health? And there was one particular question. Let me get this right. What was the first condom made of?
Oh. Tell us.
Goat's intestines.
Ooh. I do wonder how they find these things out.
I wonder how they find these things out. And I wonder who thought to themselves, oh, that intestine looks like it would make a good condom. Let's give it a go.
But somebody somewhere obviously realised what created a baby, if you like.
Yes.
And tried to think of a way to stop that.
Yeah. So, we did a really good session at Arthur Mellows, and we had some very interesting quiz questions about sexual health. So what we need going forward, so we are entering into the Great Eastern Run. We are one of their charities. Last year we had 58 runners. This year we really want to get more than that. And
it'd be an amazing achievement.
Yes. We were the biggest there last year, and we want to be even bigger this year. So if you can raise £150 through Just Giving, we will pay for your entrance, which is about 47 quid, So quite a lot of money. We'll pay for you.
Oh, I didn't realise it was.
Yeah, it's quite expensive. And then if you can raise £75 through Just Giving, we will pay for your entrance into the 5K. So if you don't fancy the half marathon, but you think you could do a 5K, maybe you want to run with your son or daughter. So please do get in touch. You can go through our website. There's a contact form, and then we can give you some running tips, nutritional advice, all of that stuff. I'm doing it. I'm doing the half again this year.
How's the training going, Amanda?
The training is going fine. I did.
Because you had a slight issue last year when you'd finished, hadn't you? You'd picked up a bit of an injury.
Yes, it was my hip.
It took you a little while to get over, but
yep.
It's all good.
I did 4 miles yesterday. Actually, I did 4 miles Saturday and then 4 miles again yesterday.
That's good.
So I'm gradually building it up, but this time I'm not going for speed or anything. I'm literally doing it for fun and to try and raise money.
You've got 5 months?
5 months to go.
Just over 5
so
months.
It's October the 14th, so it should be fine. So we've got that going on. So please, if you want to run the Great Eastern Run for us and raise loads of money, that would be amazing. We also have our yearly charity football match. And we have the date, which is Saturday the 21st of June, and it is going to be at Peterborough Rugby Club. And this is organised by a lady called Georgina and also some of the posh women's team. Last year it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I went, and it has such a lovely family atmosphere. And they'd organised bouncy castles, they'd organised food stalls, there was a big raffle. It was just such a brilliant, lovely day. I mean, it was a beautiful sunny day as well, which always helps. And, and then they played this football match, and they're all incredible women who come out and support us.
And we had some really good sponsors, didn't we? I think one guy was like giving us £100 a goal or whatever, wasn't he, last year? So that's a date for your diary, 21st of June at Peterborough Rugby Club, our charity football match. So we are asking, it's beautiful here in Peterborough. Where would you recommend for a day out? It can be Peterborough or Cambridgeshire. Sue wants to go to Ferry Meadows. I want to jump in the Lido. Where would you recommend? So please do call us on 01733 602 133. Text us on 074 119 1062 or comment on our Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch.
We've also had some exciting news. Did you talk about that last time? Had it happened?
Oh, has it happened?
About our awards or our nomination?
Oh, no. Did we know this time?
I don't think you knew this time. No, I don't think we did.
Go on, Sue.
So we have been nominated for a Community Business Award. So we've got the presentation evening in June.
June the 20th.
June the 20th, which we're very excited about. So we're a finalist, I believe.
We are finalists.
And I can't remember which category.
It is a Best Charitable Contribution.
That was it.
So we are there. It's going to be at the Marriott in Peterborough, Friday the 20th of June. We're very excited.
We have to get dressed up again.
We're going to have to get dressed up again. Oh, no. We have to buy a new dress again. But we're so happy because obviously we won a business award last year, didn't we, for Best Charity in Peterborough. And that just blew our minds, didn't it? We didn't expect to win.
No.
And when we did, it was amazing. And, the buzz in the organisation, in our offices, we still talk about it now because charities.
It's just such an amazing achievement, isn't it, for our work to be recognised.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's huge to us. Yeah. And it means so much.
So here we go again, June the 20th. We will find out if we have won Best Charitable Contribution. So, super exciting news. And we will continue to talk about it until the...
We always talk about it. Yeah. We can't help it.
Yeah. Okay, so last time I was here, I was talking about stalking. And
it'd been National Stalking Week, hadn't it?
It was.
So there was quite a lot in the news and in the media about stalking.
Yeah, and I had to cut short really what I wanted to talk about because the lovely Linda came in and told us her story. But I just wanted to finish off the stuff that I was saying about stalking. So we'd gone through...
Can you give us a bit of a recap, Mandy? I wasn't here.
I know. Were you not listening, Sue?
Could have listened to the show.
So, let's just do some highlights. So we kind of dispelled the myth that stalkers are these guys in camouflage with binoculars hiding in a bush. Yeah. That's not a thing. 45% of stalkers are ex-intimate partners or have known that person in some way or another. And then also, who is a typical victim of stalking? There's no typical victim.
Yeah, like victims of domestic abuse can be absolutely anyone.
Yeah. Excuse me. Age ranges go from 10 to 73, spread across the entire social economic spectrum. So just like you say, just like domestic abuse, not one particular group of people. And then how long does stalking last? Stalking can last for anywhere from 1 month. We've got to 43 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
But the average is about a year.
3 years.
Yeah. The average is about a year that stalking can last.
And I imagine it has such a huge impact on someone's life. Once you're aware that someone is stalking you in whatever shape or form that may look like, you must live your life on the edge constantly. It must be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and the psychological damage for the victim of being stalked. And obviously, this was the next bit I was going to talk about, but not only being stalked, you know, like I said, or you're being followed home, or people are looking through binoculars into your window and stuff. You know, there's this whole online stalking now, isn't it? So even when you feel safe in your own home, you potentially might not feel safe in your own home because that person is online and can stalk you through a variety of methods.
And social media is a general part of everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, in this day and age, for the majority of people.
Yeah.
And like you say, that brings that element into your home and your safe space.
Definitely. So some tips that I went through before, and this was tips in terms of kind of physical stalking, carrying a personal alarm, and we have those at Peterborough Women's Aid, don't we? So if anyone wants a personal alarm, we give them out for free, actually. You can just go on our website, put in an inquiry form. Vary your daily routine and take different routes to and from work. Know where the nearest...
That can be really difficult,
I
though.
know.
For example, you use the bus to get to work. You obviously normally have to be in work at a similar time every day.
Yeah.
So that's really difficult to do.
Knowing where the nearest safe location is, for example, a police station. Talk to the police about using CCTV or putting a panic button in your home. Consider installing an alarm system, and obviously ensure all your doors and windows are locked.
And again, if you install an alarm system in your home, they automatically have a panic button on them.
Yeah. But these are kind of tips for victims. And again, but we have this all the time, don't we, when we talk about victims of domestic abuse? It's like, why are the victims making all the changes? You know, make sure you vary your way to work. Talk to the police about a panic button in your house. It just makes me so angry that it's the victims of abuse and stalking that have to make all of the changes. Yeah. And we talk about this, you know, with victims of domestic abuse. It's often the victim that has to leave the family home.
They have to up and leave everything that they know very often.
Yeah, and go into a refuge.
That they live in, their friends and family.
I know. But it's always been this way, isn't it? That the victim has to make all of these massive changes to their life, and the perpetrator, if not convicted, basically gets away with it. A lot of the time can stay in the family home. A lot of the time there's no consequence. And it just, I don't have an answer. I don't know if there is an answer.
Because at the end of the day, all we want is for these men to stop abusing women.
Yeah, and at the same time for women and children to be safe.
Yeah. So
I don't think there is an answer, but it does get my goat that victims have to make all of these changes and perpetrators don't. I just wanted also to do some stuff about, so we talked about stalking online, and that's quite a big thing now, isn't it? And just some tips for that, really. Get your computer checked for malware. I don't know what that means.
Malware, yes.
What does malware mean, Sue?
I think that's the thing that can put viruses on your
like maybe stalking
devices.
apps or something on your thing?
Yeah, it's the nasty things that come along. And I think they have, like, if you have an email, for example, with a link in it, if you click on it, sometimes it can then download things
Okay.
onto your device.
Cool.
Don't take me for
Okay.
we
IT
need
expert.
the tech people in for that one.
So change your password and don't use the same password for everything. Limit the amount of information you share about yourself on social media and check all your privacy settings. Keep your antivirus software up to date and report any stalking activity on websites to the administrators. If they won't act, contact the web hosting company. Now that, to me, I've just read a line of gobbledygook. I don't know what that means.
So on a lot of the social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, you can report
Okay.
Posts or comments or people
Right.
through the actual site.
Okay, so that's what that means.
Yeah.
Contact the people
Yes.
that provide the thing. Okay. So yeah, it was National Stalking Week 2 weeks ago. The information that I've been talking about was from the Susie Lamplugh Trust, who is a specialist charity organisation that focus on stalking. And Susie Lamplugh was an estate agent who went missing many years ago, and they think that she was stalked through her job. And so that's why they do what they do. If anything that we're talking about is triggering you, or you feel that you need support or someone to talk to, you can contact Peterborough Women's Aid Advice Line on 01733 894 964, or you can just go on our website and you can chat to us through web chat, or you can pop us an email and we can come straight back to you.
I'd be really interested to know the risks of someone who stalks and the risk of what they may potentially go on to do. Because we know with domestic abuse, for example, non-fatal strangulation, it creates a higher risk of them going on to murder that person. Is there a similar thing with
Yes, there is.
stalking?
And I talked about this last time I was talking about stalking. So we are going to do a show on this, and it's going to be quite a difficult show to do, and I'm going to get someone to come in who's a bit of a specialist. But there's a lady called Jane Monckton-Smith, and she is a very clever person, because I can't think of the word. I think she's a professor in criminology, and she's a bit of the guru when it comes to domestic abuse and domestic abuse homicides. And she wrote a paper on the domestic homicide timeline. So it basically shows you start to finish of when a perpetrator targets a victim and then ends up murdering that victim. And there's 8 stages on this timeline, and stalking is part of that.
Okay.
So that is the most extreme, that the most people who are murdered by an abuser have been stalked somewhere on that timeline. And we are going to talk about that timeline, because identifying the different stages of the timeline actually helps people recognise abusive relationships and get out quicker. So should we do that next show?
We could do that next show.
Yeah, we might have to put a few warning signs out, because it is quite...
I think the next show falls on a bank holiday, though. That'll be the one.
Maybe the next show. Because it is quite heavy hitting. And I actually did the homicide timeline with some sixth form students not long ago, because I just felt it was really important that they understood the severity of what can happen through stalking and domestic abuse. And a lot of the time when we go into schools, the students, they giggle a bit, they feel a bit uncomfortable with what we're talking about.
And I think sometimes it's minimalised, isn't it?
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, oh, it's just a one-off. Oh, it's only happened a couple of times. Oh, they'd had a drink. They'd perhaps smoked some cannabis that day.
Yep.
And it is minimalised. And I think, like you say, putting it into black and white and saying, well, actually, if you are behaving in this way, that behaviour can then escalate to the most severe consequences.
Yeah.
I think it makes it so much more real, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, definitely. So we are asking you today, because it's such a beautiful day, where would you go? Where do you recommend to go out in Peterborough or Cambridgeshire for the day? Sue has said Ferry Meadows. I've said swimming. There's no one replying to us, Sue.
I'm disappointed.
Do you think they're just all out at their
They're all
favourite places
enjoying the
in
sunshine.
Peterborough? So if you want to let us know, you can call us on 01733 602 133, 074 111. And now I can't see the screen.
Oops.
We have this amazing new system here where I normally read the text number and it's gone because it's telling me we're going to go to ads soon.
So you can comment on Facebook.
Comment on Facebook. You can comment on YouTube. You can comment on
Twitch. Or X.
We still don't know what Twitch is, do we?
I still haven't looked at Twitch.
But yeah, you can comment on all of those. And after the break, I will come back and tell you the telephone number and the text number. So, Sue, quickly in 20 seconds, what are we talking about after the break?
So we're going to basically look at the rights that women and children have following a domestic abuse relationship.
Oh.
And what they are entitled to.
Okay, cool. So we're looking at civil orders, legal stuff.
Yeah.
Everything you can...
Bit of this, bit of that.
Okay, brilliant.
Bit of a mixture.
Right, we'll be back. We'll be back in 5.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Busy Bunnies Nurseries is where children grow and thrive. It's where your little ones will enjoy expert care, engaging activities and a warm, welcoming environment. Busy Bunnies Nurseries also provide great learning experiences in exceptional indoor and outdoor settings. So when looking for a loving, fun and safe place for your child, visit at 627 Lincoln Road, Peterborough, now with additional parking, or online at busybunniesnurseries.co.uk. Call 01733 897799 to book your visit today. Busy Bunnies Nurseries, where children hop into a brighter future. 2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Need a taxi that won't break the bank? Amar Cabs offers safe local rides at affordable prices, starting at £3.99. Get to Heathrow for £120 and London Stansted or London Luton for just £88. Private school and executive business class drop-offs are also available. Booking is easy. Go to www.amarcabs.com and download our app on Android or iOS, or call 01733 555 888. Wherever you're headed, Amar Cabs is just a tap away with reliable, affordable rides starting at just £3.99.
Turkish Restaurant Peterborough. The name says it all. It's the restaurant in Peterborough that serves amazingly mouth-watering halal Turkish cuisine, including delicious kaneva and baklava desserts. At 1253 Borges Boulevard, Turkish Restaurant Peterborough's the place to dine with family and friends, or order for collection to enjoy at home. Call 01733 307076 or view online at turkishrestaurantpeterborough.com.
Home or business, protect what matters most with a bespoke security system from H-Secure Tech. CCTV, intruder and fire alarms, and access control too. 5-star Google-rated H-Secure Tech install them all, with 24-hour and mobile app monitoring, keeping your business safe and your loved ones protected. To discuss your specific requirements, call 01733 590 201 or visit hsecuretech.com.
Craving a heavenly escape in the heart of Peterborough? Heavenly Desserts is the perfect place to relax with friends, unwind with family, or for casual meetings with colleagues. You can now indulge in our delicious brunch menu with mouth-watering savoury delights, served from 11 a.m. every day. Visit us today at Cowgate, Peterborough, the go-to spot for good times and great company. Where else but Heavenly's? Party packages available for birthdays and other celebrations. Also available to order through Just Eat, Deliveroo and Uber Eats.
Peterborough's community radio station, Salam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Keep Women Talking, a show from Peterborough Women's Aid. My name is Mandy. I am your host, and I am with Sue today. Hashtag Sue is back.
Well, I only wasn't here 1 week.
I know, but we did miss you. We did miss you. So the question of the week this week is, where would you reckon it's beautiful outside? It's currently it's saying on my weather map that it's only 12 degrees. I don't believe that.
I don't think that's quite right.
I think the weather map's a bit
It was
off
a
kilter.
lot warmer out there when we came in.
We're asking, because it is so beautiful outside, where would you recommend that people go in Peterborough on a lovely day like this?
Yeah. Peterborough or Cambridgeshire, or the surrounding area.
So before the break, I said no one's got in touch, and now everyone's got in touch. It's amazing.
You need to give out the telephone number, Mandy, because unfortunately the screen changed.
The screen went. So you can call us on 01733 602 133, text us on 074 119 1062, and comment on Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. So we have had 2 Facebook comments. Anne is saying Caister Backwaters is a lovely peaceful walk, especially if you're dog walking. It is near Ferry Meadows, away from the hustle and bustle. What did I say?
Caister.
Oh, sorry.
Caister's near the coast, isn't it? Out in Norfolk.
Caister.
Caister Backwaters.
Sorry, Caister Backwaters. That's Anne's recommendation. And Gina agrees with you, Sue. So she's gone with Ferry Meadows. There's much to do with cafes, picnic areas, barbecue stands, and she loves the mini train.
Barbecue. It's really nice because they have all the barbecues there. You can just bring those disposable.
Do you have to book it, or do you just turn up?
No, you just turn up. Turn up on
with
a
a disposable.
first come, first served basis.
So thank you, Gina and Anne. And then we've also had some other comments. So Kelly has said that Orton Hall and surrounding grounds are beautiful. I've never been to Orton Hall.
I've had family members get married at Orton Hall. It is beautiful.
Oh, very nice. And then one of Iram has put Ishtar, the Genie and the Lounge. Amazing shisha there.
Nice.
So I'm figuring Ishtar is one place and the Genie and the Lounge is another place. But they both do shisha. Update us if we're wrong. Okay, so we're asking you, beautiful weather, what's the best thing to do in Peterborough and Cambridgeshire? So before the break, we were talking about stalking and the kind of signs and stuff and what you can do about it. And in this half of the show, we are going to be looking at the rights of victims who have been subject to domestic abuse. So, Sue.
Yeah, just to sort of clarify on this, I think it's really important that you do get proper advice. Even us as a domestic abuse charity, we can give guidance and recommendations, but in terms of things like legal and housing, it's really important that you contact housing specifically or a solicitor to get that advice. A victim of domestic abuse, it is against the law, as we know. There are a range of civil orders that can be put in place to protect victims. If you have involved the police will very often support you and recommend you to a solicitor who can help you through all of those. There is also the National Domestic Abuse Helpline. I've got to get this right. NCDV.
Yes. National Centre for Domestic Violence.
Yeah.
NCDV. Yep.
And they can also help you with that process. There's also a brilliant website called Rights of Women. And we've actually had some training of Rights of Women, haven't we, Mandy, in the past? Really knowledgeable. They have a range of lawyers and solicitors associated with them, so can give quite a lot of legal advice. So some of the things you can have put in place is, the first one we're going to talk about is a non-molestation order.
Okay. So can I ask you a question before we get going? What is the difference between a civil court and a criminal court?
So criminal court is if there's been an act of criminal a criminal offence committed, whereas civil court doesn't necessarily have to involve the police.
Okay, brilliant. So for example, if we go back to like we were talking about stalking, for example, and I didn't want to report it to the police, but I wanted something to
Protect yourself.
protect me.
Yeah.
I would be going through the civil court for that protection.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry to butt in. Right, non-molestation orders.
Yeah, so a non-molestation order is an order that protects you. It's like an injunction.
Mm-hmm.
So it can stop a perpetrator of abuse from contacting you or coming within a certain distance of you. And that can be either direct or indirect contact.
Okay.
So, for example, if they get, sorry,
Go on,
I was
carry
going to
on.
go on. If they get a friend, for example, to contact you on their behalf, that would still be against the order.
Okay, so it's like, can you pass a message to so-and-so telling her I'm sorry and I love her?
Yeah.
That is indirect contact.
Yes.
And that would apply to also if you had children with that person.
Yes.
So doing a contact through the children is indirect contact.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, unless there's a court order in terms of contact with the children,
Yep.
that would still be deemed as indirect contact.
Okay.
And we'll go on to talk a bit more about court orders and
Yep.
that in a little while. Yeah, so they're non-molestation orders. Like I say, you can get them through the police if you've gone down that avenue.
Mm-hmm.
They can help you get those put into place. Or the NCDV can also help you and support you to get those in place.
Do you need evidence when you're
Yes.
getting a non-mol? Okay, so you need evidence. What kind of evidence?
So anything like text messages,
Okay.
videos, if they've sent you letters, postal letters, anything along those sort of lines.
CCTV, like security
CCTV,
cameras and
yeah.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah, but you will need evidence, and they can go through the courts. It's quite a quick procedure to get into place.
Okay.
So in the most severe cases, that can be in place within a matter of hours.
Okay. So that's something called a non-molestation without notice, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's when an agency like ours can support you to go to the court, get a non-molestation order extremely quickly to the point of the perpetrator wouldn't even know that you've done it because it's that important. So he or she would be served
Yes.
with the order to say this has already been done,
after
mate.
it had happened.
Yes, because we deem you so risky.
Yes.
There's already an order in place
Yeah.
against you. Okay.
What was I going to next?
Restraining?
Yeah, similar sort of context. Same sort of idea that they're not allowed to come with a certain distance of
Yeah.
you.
And a restraining order
contact
is
you.
more likely to be issued by a judge.
Right.
So, the only reason I know this because I used to work at probation. So, a restraining order, potentially, if someone does go to court, a judge would say you've got, 6-month community sentence, but you have a restraining order, whereas you can't contact the victim or go near the victim or whatever. Now, if that person breaks that restraining order, they can then go back in front of that judge, and that judge can then take away their whole sentence and put them in prison. So the restraining order holds a bit more weight, I suppose, than a non-molestation order. But most of the time with a restraining order, there is police involvement, there is a crime going on, because it is more of a criminal stroke civil order. It just holds a bit more weight to it.
Okay. So then there's a prohibited steps order.
Okay.
Again, normally issued by the court. Prohibited steps orders are to prevent someone from removing children, for example, to another country.
Okay, so say, for example, I am going through a divorce or I've been in an abusive relationship. My ex-partner's got a new job in America and he wants to take the children to live there. I could get a prohibited steps order to say, no, he's not allowed to take those children out of the country.
Until it's been through the court system and the judge has decided who those children should live with, what sort of contact they should have. You can have one of those put in place to prevent like you say, the other party removing them from the country that they're currently living in.
Am I right in thinking you can also get prohibited steps orders if you feel that your child would be at risk if they went out of the country? So, for example, if a parent wanted to take a child out of the country for FGM,
yes,
or forced marriage,
yeah,
you could get a prohibited steps order to say, no, that can't
Yes.
happen. That child needs to stay in this country until we've sorted out who's having custody
Yes.
or residence of the children. Okay.
absolutely.
So that's one that people probably don't know that much about, that you can prevent an ex-partner
Yes.
or perpetrator from taking kids out of the country.
Again, you'd have to seek legal advice.
Yes, yep.
Get specialist advice to get those put in place. Because you want to make sure that it's done properly and it fully covers everything
Yeah.
that you need it to cover. But there are some solicitors out there that will give you free consultations, for example, for 20
Yeah.
minutes or so, and can tell you sort of what your options are and what the next steps
Yeah,
might look
and
like.
if you want access to those, visit our website. If you contact us, we can support you if you're going through a non-molestation order, restraining order, prohibited steps. We do have access to some solicitors in Peterborough who will give you free legal advice. So do get in touch through the Peterborough Women's Aid website.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about housing. Again, we're
Okay.
no experts in housing.
We're not.
And the best advice is always to go to a housing association or your local council to get direct information from them. But in terms of housing and your rights, as a victim of domestic abuse, you do have options. If you have recourse to public funds, you have the right to be safe.
Okay.
So, as you may well be aware, there's various domestic abuse organisations around the country. A lot of those do run refuges. So a refuge is a safe place for women and children. There are male ones as well, specifically for male victims of domestic abuse, that provide safe places for people to flee to temporarily as an emergency measure, for them to stay in until they find more suitable housing. So that's one option that's available. If you contact your local council, they may be able to give you temporary accommodation, and then they can talk to you about whether you're entitled to more permanent housing through the council services that they offer. So there are always options available, and it's always really important to contact either an organisation like ourselves who can help you or point you in the right direction, or your local council who again will be able to give you that expert advice.
So we this is one of our big what word? I don't want to say issues, but our big
It's a difficulty, isn't
sticking
it?
points, isn't
Yes.
it? So we have a lot of women who are they're in a right pickle, to be honest, aren't they? So they want to leave an abusive relationship, but they're really scared about their rights in terms of they might be on the mortgage, so they might be on the mortgage, so it's jointly owned, or they might be jointly on the tenancy, or they might not be on the tenancy at all. So can he kick her out? Or there might not be a tenancy, or they might be in social housing and they're both on the tenancy. So
it's a really complex
it's so
subject,
complex, isn't it?
Because there's such a shortage of social housing
Yes.
as well, that can also create difficulties.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are very scared. People who are in abusive relationships very often don't know what their current situation is with regards to housing. They don't know if they're on a joint mortgage. They don't know if they're on a joint tenancy, or whether they're not on the tenancy at all, whether they're actually in that accommodation illegally. And sometimes it can be really hard to find that information out.
So the message that we're sending is that housing can be problematic, but actually if you access a support agency such as ours, such as Peterborough Women's Aid, we can support you through that process.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're not just going to be basically, oh, I need to leave an abusive relationship. You're not going to be on the streets. You know, and all the partners that we work with, organisations, always make sure that we find suitable accommodation for victims and families that have left an abusive relationship.
Because I think that's
There
a
will always
major
be
thing, isn't it?
something.
If someone's
Yeah.
threatening, oh, I'll just kick you out on the street, and you don't know where to go and what
Yeah.
to do, you're very much like, well, I don't want to be on the street. So you then feel trapped, as though you have to stay there, but you've still got that threat hanging over your head.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're entitled to and what there is out there that you can actually access.
Yeah. Okay. So the message is reach out, basically.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've talked in the past about financial abuse and how prevalent it is. Women who go out to work but never see any of their salary and their wages. Women who are on benefits, again, never see them, or their partner's claimed on their behalf and they don't even know that that money's coming into the household. So in terms of financial rights, there are, again, specialist services out there that can support women who have been abused financially. And we can support you if you're on benefits, for example, to make sure that you get those benefits that you're entitled to in your name, in a bank account that is solely for you. Because sometimes even just accessing the online portal into Universal Credit, for example, may be a complete mystery to you. You may not know that it exists. You may not know how to get onto it. But again, we can support you. Or if you can contact the local job centre, they'll be able to help you to make sure that you're getting everything that you're entitled to and it's in your name.
And this was a bit of a nightmare for us ages ago, wasn't it? Because people used to have their benefits paid individually.
Yes.
And now, through Universal Credit, I believe you do joint claims.
You can do,
You
yes.
can do.
Yeah.
And excuse me, we found a lot of abusers wanted to do that joint claim so they could have control of
they'll
all
then
of the
have
money.
all the money.
Yeah, which also meant that the child benefit quite
Yes.
often would be in that abuser's name too.
That's it. I mean, we've had women who have come to live here from Europe, for example. They didn't even know child benefit existed. And their perpetrators were obviously getting a substantial amount of money every month in their name. And they didn't even know that they were entitled to this. And they've, come into refuge, haven't even heard of it.
No.
And that. But there are ways around it. You can still make a claim. We can support you and you can evidence that the children are living with you. And we can help you get that money into your name, into your own bank account.
And then there's child maintenance stuff, isn't there?
Yes.
So child maintenance is something that the non-residential parent has to pay.
Yes.
And it's calculated on how often that non-residential parent sees the children, and how much
they earn.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of our clients we work with that don't have that payment arrangement set up, but it's quite easy to do through the child maintenance service. They can even take the money from
it can come from
the
source,
bank account,
can't it? From when they're actually
get paid.
get paid, rather than the person having to be paid and then pay the mum, for example, directly.
Yeah. So that's something that we can support people with when they've left an abusive relationship and they want to set up that child maintenance payment, because that in itself can be quite traumatic in terms of perpetrators saying, if you've left me, I'm not giving you any money. But actually, that's a legal obligation that they have to support their own children. So we could definitely support with that.
And I think, just on a side note, if you can get hold of any important financial documents, try and get copies of them. Even if you take a photo on your phone, for example, it really does help, because it can be quite a lengthy and long and complicated process to get hold of all that information. One of the things that we're asked quite regularly is whether you have to let your partner see the children. our advice when women come to refuge is that no, you don't have to let your partner see those children. Because if they have joint parental responsibility, they can then keep those children with them, and there's no protection for you around that. So the police can't do anything. If you then ring the police and go, my husband's taken our children off me, the police will go, okay, does he have parental responsibility? Which very often they do. The police will go and do a welfare check, make sure the children are happy and are being looked after suitably. If they are, the police have no other powers to do anything. So we always recommend that should your relationship break down for whatever reason, and it's not necessarily particularly friendly, we would recommend that you go through the court system, because then any contact can be done officially through a child arrangement order, so that it's then a legal document of who the children live with, how often contact takes place, how that contact takes place, and where that contact takes place.
So I think that's really good advice, because we have found previously that children can be used by the perpetrator to get back at mum. And that's the example that you were saying about, you know, mum wants the children to keep in contact with the dad, absolutely fine. But then if the children do go and see dad, who is the abuser, he has every legal right to keep them if he's on the birth certificate, if he's got parental responsibility. And then you also need to consider the risk to those children. So, for example, if we have a client who has been experiencing domestic abuse, if the children have witnessed that abuse, experienced that abuse, how safe is their contact with their father, even though they might want to see their dad? So going through the family court to get a child arrangement order is the advice that we always give, because then you have...
It's not a perfect system.
It's not.
Far from it. But at least then you've got something in black and white, and you've got a legal document that clearly states what should and shouldn't happen.
And you've also got trained professionals looking at the welfare of the children, which is paramount, isn't it? You know, wrongly or rightly, family courts treat mum and dad exactly the same. And, you know, I've got my views on it. I'm sure Sue's got her views on it. But they come from a point of children should see both parents, regardless of what any parent has done. And then they make the main point of the family court is they make that decision based on what is the best for that child. And it might be that if that child has witnessed domestic abuse, it is not the best for that child to be seeing dad.
It's a long and lengthy process. There are assessments that go on. Children's services may be involved. There's court-appointed family advisors that contact both parents and talk to the children to try and get their views.
But I would add to that, nothing to be scared about, because those professionals are completely focused on the...
Yes, they're focused on the child and what is
not
in the
parents.
best interest.
You know, what's
of
happened with the
child.
parents has happened. They want to focus on the children, don't they?
Yeah, and it is improving all the time.
It is.
The awareness of the impact of domestic abuse on children and young people is becoming bigger and bigger and more as time goes on.
Yeah, and it can, I think, feel quite scary for people going through the family courts, making these applications.
I think because it's so official, isn't it?
It is.
And if you haven't been to court for whatever reason in the past, it's this great authority, isn't it? And it can be quite terrifying and quite scary.
But from our experience of working with victims of domestic abuse who have children, the majority are mums. You know, we know there's male victims out there, but the majority of we work with our mums at Peterborough Women's Aid. You know, we don't just leave you to go to court. You know, for some of our clients, we've been through that whole process, haven't we? Even sat in the court with our client to make sure that she is okay, and advocated for her to make sure that she understands what's going on, that her wishes and feelings are being told, you know, in the way
Yeah,
that
and
she
heard
wants them
within the
to.
court
Yeah, and then
environment.
also listening to what the feedback is from the judge and other legal advisors, because when you've never been to a court before, it can just like blow your mind, can't
That's
it?
it. I think it's a bit like when you go to the doctors, you don't always take everything in because your anxiety goes up, you're
Yeah.
worrying and fretting, you don't always hear and aren't able to process everything. So it does really help to have either your solicitor who can sit and explain something to you, or an advocate like ourselves to help support you
Yeah.
through that process.
Okay, that's really good. I think we're going to carry on this discussion next time we're here, because we are nearly finished. There were 2 comments on the board
What's there about
next
places
to me
to go?
about places to go, and I've read one of them, and one of them said wandering around the colleges in Cambridge, which is
done that for a
it's
long
beautiful,
time.
punting, all of that stuff. And whoever texted in and was at the top of my list, I didn't get a chance to read what you said, and now I can't see it because my screen's gone. But anyway, thank you so much, Sue. We are back in 2 weeks' time if it's not a bank holiday. If not, we will very shortly, and